Hey guys, welcome back to Face with Terrence. I'm Terrence Weaver, and today we have a new and exciting guest on the show. I've been waiting for this moment. We're going to come from the story or chapter within the book called Hindsight. And if anybody knows anything about Hindsight, Hindsight is a chapter about my brother, my best friend, Tim Winfield, and you're going to have an opportunity today to see Tim face to face on this session. But not only that, this story itself touches home or touches my heart simply because I experienced a lot of this with him growing up. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We grew up in the same area. We experienced a lot of the same things. But again, a lot of people are always asking, where's Tim? What happened to Tim? And I want to bring him on the show so you guys can truly see who Tim is and welcome Tim Winfield to the show with me. And we also have Candace back again, who's also going to be on the show. And we're going to be talking to Tim about this story, the hindsight that has everybody on the edge of their seat and it's moving people. So Tim, welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candace, I'm going to give you the opportunity first to go ahead and start asking questions because we know you like to fire from the hip. So Candace, you got the floor.
So look, my first question, and when I was reading this, like, we're stepping back to 2015, but like going further back to when you guys were kids.
Yes.
And now, looking back, hindsight, has writing these stories changed you too?
Yes.
Wow.
It has, seeing it on paper, reading it, and hearing feedback from other people that have been through similar situations and or struggling with similar issues. It always strengthens you as a person and makes you want to do better as a person.
Yeah.
So when someone calls Terrence and says, "Hey, how's Tim doing?" You know, it's like somebody cared enough after reading to want to know how I'm doing.
Yeah, that's dope.
And for me, that's big. That means I touched someone with my life. And my story is just the beginning of maybe their story. Maybe they just lost their mom to cancer or their dad died when they were young. And now it's one of those things where they're dealing with what I was going through, the depression, the sadness, the anger, you know, the feeling alone or hurt. So I'm pretty excited to actually be here with you guys today and talk this through. And
talking excitement, right? Like I was like getting ready this morning. I'm like, we get to meet Tim. Like I told Terrence before, meeting the characters that helped him create this book that like literally is bringing life to people. It definitely brought life to me. It's like, but meeting the people. I have a vision of what you look like, or I want to know, and I'm with the rest of the audience. How's Tim? So just for today, give us a quick, how is Tim? Tim went through a lot. Where's Tim now?
Tim is great. Tim has found a balance in his life. He's found peace in his life. He's moving forward. God has done great things with my life, done great things with my family. I'm more than what I used to be.
Okay.
You know, it's one of those things where I've had time to mature and grow. I was in that book, I'm like a little sapling tree. Now I'm, you know, I had a sycamore tree in my yard when I was growing up, and it was big when I was little, but it's gotten bigger, you know, and that's me. I'm like that sycamore tree.
I like that. Let's go. I
keep going, you know.
The amazing thing is now you have a wife and how many kids?
4 kids and
2 boys and
2 boys, 2 girls, even split.
Okay.
You know, and you know, the youngest one is just like I was when I was a kid. He's a mama's boy and a grandma's boy, and you know, he just loves on them like I used to do with my grandparents. And I never had a grandfather, so for him to have granddads and et cetera to love on too was like awesome, you know. And we just moved across country from Georgia to North Dakota. I ain't scared to say it. And
he's a country boy at heart.
We got a ranch. We're looking to get horses, and my 2 daughters want to rope and barrel race, and my boy, he want to, you know, just do whatever, football, basketball, baseball, horse riding, anything. He just loves to do things I said I did as a kid, so he wants to triumph.
That is amazing. So one thing about this book is hindsight is literally looking back over your life now with your 2020 vision, and you're able to see clearly about the things that you went through. But as you was going through it, looking forward, you had blurry vision because you wasn't for sure that you was going to make it through it. You know, the person that you was then that was going through the hurt and the pain, could you ever even imagine that you would be where you are today?
No, I wasn't supposed to be here today. according to people in my life back then and in my neighborhood and the people that knew me, personally knew me,
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to live to see 21.
Mm-hmm.
I was just out there, you know, and then after my dad and my grandma and everybody that ever helped me in my life were gone, you know, you're alone. You know, once my mom died, that was the one that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, as they like to say. And that was my turning point. I gave up on God, I gave up on myself, I gave up on the people that love me. And that turmoil and that chapter in my life made me who I am today and made me want to make sure my children and the people I love and care about don't feel that kind of pain.
Let me set the scene for you all, for my audience, for everyone.
Yeah.
But Terrence, Terrence wrote this book, Face to Face, where life meets reality, right? And in this chapter of Hindsight, we interviewed Tim. Terrence has a way of bringing out the story in someone's life, and when you put it on paper, you get to relate to these characters. So Tim, you lost in the book. It says in 10 years. You lost everything.
Everybody that ever cared about me in my life, I felt.
And it started at age 11, right?
Age 10.
Can you imagine losing everything at 10 years old? Or at least you feel that you lost everything, not knowing that there's so much more waiting for you. But you lost everything that you started with, which is really difficult. So you lost your father in a fire, yes. You lost your grandmother to breast cancer. And I don't know where in the middle of all of this you lost your cousin, which is Terrence's brother, somewhere in there. Then you lost your mother. She was diagnosed with cancer, kicked cancer's ass, and then it ultimately came back, as this horrible disease likes to do. And then ultimately you lost your mom. But not even on an outward loss, you lost some things inward. You lost some faith, you lost some trust, you lost the opportunity to play the game of football. Obviously you were an excellent, what position did you play?
Running back, free safety.
Oh, wow, yeah, excellent running back. You had a career going for you, and that direction was lost. So we experienced with you a lot of loss. But then as the book continues to go, I start seeing all this hope in your story, which is what I think most of our viewers need to understand. Behind every tragedy, there's more waiting for you, and there's always this stepping stone to the next level, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how important it is for me to read that, even for someone who rocks with her own faith, and I'm like, I know these things, but to listen to someone else say it, I mean, it's life-changing. For the least of faith and the one that has the biggest faith, because it keeps us going. So I personally want to say thank you for being bold enough to even put these words on paper.
Thank you.
So I have a couple of questions, because your girl went through it, and I got some things I gotta point out to my audience here, because they're not here to ask the questions.
She shoot from the hip.
But we gonna make sure they get the questions, right?
Yeah. And we get to answer to any questions you got.
So one thing I want to point, because I'm a Christian, me and Terrence talk about our Christian lives on this show all the time. But I noticed that after all this loss and all the pain that you went through, there was this nice gap of not so much pain, where your mom cancer had gone into remission. You were playing football, you were hanging out, you were like, everybody was scouting you, coaches were looking at you. And all I can think of is how God gives us these gifts of good days. Did you feel that at the moment? Or in hindsight, you're looking at it like, now I got it?
It was a relief in chaos.
Yes.
It was, say you're in the middle of a hurricane, when the eye comes over and everything calms. That's what it was like. It was just calming. It was a moment in life where the chaos didn't really affect me as much, but it was still there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just that moment in life that you start to get that hope back, that feeling of everything that's been wrong can somehow be right. And then, it's a hurricane.
Yeah.
That eye's gonna pass.
Yeah.
And then the storm starts again.
So did those good days help you fight the next storm?
Yes.
Come on, that's what I want to
Yes.
hear. You can't think that life is always gonna be roses and petals and candy canes and doves, right?
Rocky Balboa said my favorite quote. You know, world ain't always sunshine and rainbows.
Come on.
You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna get hit.
You
How
gotta
hard
get it.
can you get hit and keep moving forward?
That's it.
I literally have printed that out and posted it on my wall.
Mm.
It was one of the most inspirational things that I could have ever heard.
Yeah.
And it came out of a Rocky Balboa movie.
So, hey, inspiration is everywhere.
Yes.
And speaking of inspiration, so Terrence, when you were thinking of writing this book, you know, you had an amazing conversation with Tim's wife, Kim, right?
Yep.
And you guys sat down and you realized like this was the time to put this in the book. Where did that inspiration come from?
Again, I just wanted to show Kim that Tim's life is amazing. Because sometimes you can look at someone's hurt and their pain, and you're just like, get up, why can't you get up? But the truth is through your pain comes your passion, I truly believe.
I agree.
And as I was writing this book of my pain, because he's my best friend and our lives overlapped a lot, I realized that I couldn't express my story without expressing his story. Because the moment that my mom died in the book, we talk about my mom, you know, in the hospital room when she took her last breath, I was literally at Tim's house after I gave the doctor and my family the permission to turn the machine off. I went directly to his house with his mom.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting there in their living room with my phone around, and they said that my mom had passed. So I was around the people that I love the most, and the significant people at that time was Tim, his mom, his sisters and brothers at that time when I got the news. So as I was writing this book, I was like, man, I really need to add Tim in this section to go ahead and show or perpetuate how we keep going through life and keep getting punched, and we have to keep getting up.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was there for me during that time that my mom died.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, they were my strength during that time.
Mhm.
And then when his mom died, I was their strength to look back on like, yo, if he can make it through it, then, you know,
Right, yeah.
they can make it through it also.
You agree with that, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, I see you like
100%.
that. Your face tells the whole story, you know, it's like really amazing to see you two together, you know, because that's a hard hit. I
Yes.
mean, I think we were talking earlier off camera, you were like, a lot of people have their family and their parents, you know, I've never experienced loss on that level,
Yeah.
never. And I couldn't imagine, but when I sit and watch people or watch you two or read how you guys are still like triumphing through this process, and it is a process.
Yeah.
And I've been told that you'll never get over losing your mother. It's your first relationship.
Sure.
Yeah, right? So I can only draw strength from your story. And realistically hoping that I never have to really experience it, but we're all gonna pass this from this world.
So one question I have for you, Tim, I want you to take us to the moment your dad died. And when he died in a specific way. Your mom was there and your grandma was there. And I think you're on a school bus or you're in a car.
No,
You're at a car at your
my
grandma's.
cousin Missy came and picked
Yep.
us up.
Could you walk us through that scenario?
I was at
A
my
brief
grandma's
detailed
house.
scenario.
I was at my grandmother's house, and we're sitting there, and it's a normal day, you know.
Yeah.
We're at grandma relaxing, and my cousin Missy came up, and, you know, she runs up to the house after she's, you know, scared and, you know, all in the driveway and etc. And she comes up and she goes, "Your house is on fire. We need to get out to the village." And I'm like, "What?" And as a 10-year-old kid, when you hear your house is on fire and you've seen movies and etc.
Yeah,
on buildings
yeah.
and stuff on fire, you're like, "Oh man." And you're thinking about the minute things, the little things. Oh, my toys, my this or that.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about that someone could be in there that's gonna change how you look at every male figure
Yeah.
or everything in life.
Wow.
That's deep.
You know, I when we arrived and I saw the smoke belt, and you know, when I'm in the car, it seemed like forever
Mhm.
to get there. But when we pull up and you see that glow, and you see the smoke, and you finally settles in that it's your house.
Yeah.
And then you're there and you get out and you're looking and everything's starting to hit you and you're crying because you're losing everything that you had. And then people start noticing, all material stuff that you can replace.
Mm-hmm.
Was it nighttime or?
Yeah, it was evening. It was right around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And my mom was working second shift at the mill. And she was at work. And usually she'd drop us off at my grandma's house because my dad worked construction. He didn't get off till after she got off work. Well, after we were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there and, she pulls up, a little bit after we did. But my grandma had already talked to the fire chief. And she didn't hold in her emotions very well.
Yeah.
My dad was beloved by my whole family. Kind of like I am with my wife's family and my family now. It's just that kind of person, when you lose them, for me it was my hero, but for her it wasn't her son, but it was her son. It was her son-in-law, it was her son. He did everything he could for her, and et cetera, and vice versa. And the pain she showed triggered the pain in us.
Mm-hmm.
When she turned around and threw her hands up in there and said, "My Lord, two-man dead," which was my dad's nickname, it fell on deaf ears at first.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I like to say, when in the Lion King movie, when the gazelle are coming down and Simba gets that look like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And it zooms in on him and it's, and he knows he's about, it's that. You don't hear or see or feel, it just settles on you.
You say Lion King movie, we talking to a family man here. Go ahead.
It's one of those things that you can't believe it's happening when it's happening, but it's happening. Yeah. And for me, my dad was my hero. I thought he was indestructible. Yeah. And when I got the word that he had passed, a piece of me passed. Yeah. You can't not have someone you love that much leave and not have a piece of you leave with them.
That's something that both of you have mimicked in your wording. You said in the chapter of the book that even if I go back further, there's a chapter where your mom writes, you write a chapter for your mom, and she said she lost pieces of her when her husband was gone. And then you said when your mom passed, you lost pieces of you. Yeah. And now Tim, you're saying that. And I'm trying to imagine, what does that look like?
Tell you what, if your heart was a puzzle and you had as many pieces as you have people that you can love deeply, everyone has a circle. You got your friends, your family, the people you hold dearly in that circle. So if you made all of that a puzzle of a heart, and you take out a big piece of that and you discard it, that puzzle's never gonna be complete again. But what you can do is you can fill that puzzle piece sometime, but it still isn't enough. So what we mean by pieces are gone is that piece in time and place in your heart that person held, you can never get it back because it's gone. So you lose that part of yourself when you lose them. And it's one of those things that you can't change, and the hurt never fades. That's why you never get over the fact that people, die, especially when they're really close to you.
Yeah.
An amazing thing about writing this story, and again, I grew up, our lives mimic each other in a lot of ways. My mom and his mom were literally best friends.
Yeah.
Like by the hip, like clubbing, like
From like we were growing up to adulthood.
Cousins are always your first friends. I'm telling you. Yeah.
But there's a lot of things I did not know. Like for instance, I knew that his dad died because I'm younger than him. I knew that his dad died, but I didn't know where. I've been by the house and we played in the yard growing up. Yeah. Like all of our life. The house was burned down and we just knew it was a burnt down house. I just knew his dad died in there, but the land was still there and we would do, flips on the dirty mattresses like a lot of, as kids do. But some details that I realized as I was writing this story was that his dad went up the hallway and, realized he couldn't make it out of there and then went back to the bathroom. And they found him
In the tub.
In the tub.
Yeah.
He was trying to get out the bathroom window, and the coroner said it looks like he slipped because of the soot and water or whatever.
Yeah.
And he hit his head and then he suffocated, smoke inhalation.
Wow. That's a hard story
It
to
is.
swallow.
And again, punch after punch after punch. Where he goes through that, he has his family and grandma and everybody around him to help him get through this scenario. And then you get punched again.
What's that was when your grandmother.
Yeah.
So had she known about her diagnosis?
Yeah, she knew about it about, I want to say at least 4 years ahead.
Okay.
And then, she had already had a breast, a mastectomy.
Yeah.
And, she was dealing with that, and right when she felt like she was getting better, it came back and got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those moments where, okay, God, why are you doing this to me? Why can't I just be a normal kid and have the people that love me around me?
And these are questions you have for God.
Like, why am I the one that's having to deal with all this extra unneeded stress?
Yeah.
Like, why must I feel this pain? No one else is feeling this pain.
Yeah.
I watch people around me that, their parents, their grandparents, and happy and
You felt isolated in this.
yes, it made me feel kind of shunned, like I was pushed to the side.
Felt personal.
Yeah.
It felt personal from God. I get it. So many people feel that way. Like did it ever help you later on to find out that you weren't the only one that experienced these things in life?
Yes,
It did.
yes,
Wow. How so?
because I had someone to talk to. I was in middle school, and I'm gonna call him MW.
Okay.
Okay, because I don't want to use his name. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but his mom, dad, and 2 sisters were all killed in a car accident. He just so happened to be at football practice with us. And the guidance counselor knew my past and decided that, okay, you'd be a good buddy with him to help deal with his pain.
Come on. Look at how it works.
And me and the guy still friends to this day, like really close friends.
Yeah.
But I don't talk on the phone much, so I do a lot of social media chat.
Yes.
And he's about where I'm at in life right now. He's doing good. He has a family. He's excited to actually bring in a new baby this year to his family. This will be kid number 6.
Wow.
And just like myself, he's named all of his kids after his parents or grandparents. So, or in his case, his sisters. And he's to know my life and his life are almost the same with the pain.
Yeah.
It let me know that it's just not me.
Yeah.
Other people deal with this too.
So you can draw out away from the personal part of it and
Yes.
start to
Heal.
heal. Come on again. Yeah, man, tell me rocking today. I love this. Like this is like my favorite right now. So yeah, I've been told, and I think I've read this plenty of times, that God will never waste a pain in your life. Like everything we go through, everything we experience, we shouldn't bottle it up and keep it to ourselves because it can be used. You use it to help your friend. You use it in this book, and we don't know how many people we're gonna help and how many it's gonna reach through our words, because you have a far bigger reach this way. This book is gonna go far. It's gonna go worldwide. So the beauty of it is, no matter how much pain we go through, there's someone else that's gone through it too. And if we don't use that, if we don't talk, if we don't connect, no one else will be helped. There's no other reason for you to have this pain other than helping someone else make it through.
And the amazing thing about this book is a lot of people took their stories for the first time and wrote them out, such as myself. I never really talked about what I went through.
Yeah.
Tim never really talked about what he went through. And any of the people in the book with their stories, they never told their stories. And this is the first time. So you can imagine as an author trying to pull this information out of them
Gosh.
was very emotional, touching, and
Yeah.
there are points in there where people in this book stopped talking to me.
I'm sure. Because they were like, I don't want to relive this, Terrence, go away. Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that God has a bigger purpose. And even like you're talking about that segment of time with Tim that happened, over the 10-year period of time, were there bright spots or were there segments of sunshine within his cloudiness?
Yeah.
And from his dad dying to his grandma dying to getting hopes. At that moment, he ended up having hopes.
Hopes, yeah.
Had a period of time where he was blessed with his first son. What is his name? Antarius.
I love that name. I was like reading it several times. I'm like, that is so interesting.
So what did Antarius mean to you after, your grandma died, your dad died, and your mom was alive? Had your mom been already diagnosed then, before he was born, or was it after?
She had already been re-diagnosed before he was born. He was born. She got to hold him for the first 6 months of his life.
Wow.
That's amazing.
What a blessing.
And for me, it was more of, I want her to see a part of me before she leaves this earth. We knew she wasn't going to get better. Me and her had talked about it. We knew that this was the last go around for her. She's going to fight it as long as she can. And, there was no winning. It was breast and bone.
Yeah.
And there was no match. So,
Was she tired? Did she tell you that
always,
she was tired?
always didn't want to do chemo anymore. Didn't want to do any of that because she didn't like how it felt.
Yeah, it's hard.
She was very excited though when I told her I was about to have a son. She got to see her youngest have a child and be a part of his life.
Yeah.
Even if it was just for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And for me, that was tremendous.
That is amazing. What I want to do is I want to dig. You know me. I'm all about emotions. I'm all about digging.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotta be a table full of water right there, people. In just a moment, okay?
So, you found your mom, right?
Yeah.
Can you walk us to that moment? Walking into the house and feeling something different.
Well, it was,
and being there, or whatever happened in that scenario.
they gave her some new medicine because she didn't want to do chemo. And it made her feel hot and nauseated.
Mm-hmm.
So I leave the window open, put a fan in there, and this particular night she told me it's too hot. Turn the air conditioner on. So turn the air conditioner on, and it's maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm a night owl person. I stay up anyway. I don't sleep much, and I happened to doze off, and my uncle come over to borrow my car because he was going to visit a cousin of mine that was incarcerated at the time, and his car wouldn't make it to the big city that my cousin was at. And I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'm not doing anything, So he comes by the next morning and knocks on the door. And I go to the door, I open the door, and he's like, yeah, your mama told me I could use the car, so I'll come get your car. And where's she at? I said, she's in her sleep. And my mom was a loud snorer.
Okay.
The
details
it didn't dawn on me at first that I didn't hear her snore. So I felt like, okay, maybe the medicine she was taking just got her conked out.
Yeah.
So I went in and I opened the door. And her room was colder than every other room in the house. When I say colder, I used to work in a funeral home, so I know that feeling.
Okay.
When you open the door and that fresh, cold body is there.
Yeah.
I walked in, and in my mind, I couldn't believe it that she had her back to me. And I'm like, Mom, Uncle, he want to use the car. She didn't move. She didn't say nothing. I walk over, kind of shake her foot. It's under the cover, but I'm like, okay. No movement. I walk around to the front side of the bed, and I can see her eyes open. Just a little bit. And I'm like, Mom. And I go to shake her again, and that's when I really feel how cold she is.
And how old were you at this time?
I am 21, I think, 21.
Okay.
Wow, still really young.
And I'm like, okay. Then it hit me. Hold on, she ain't breathing. So then I Mom, you know, but, you know,
Your instinct is to
You
shake
did?
them so they're awake, yeah.
like, and then it just dawned on me, and I walked down, I told my uncle, I said, my mom did. Walked out on the porch, sat down. Just kind of looked up at the sky and was like, why? Like, why? Like, now I have no one. I have no one. It didn't dawn on me. I had my kids and my brothers, but it was the most significant relationship in my life. And it was gone.
Tim, I'm sure everybody can sympathize with you right now. If you're not, you're not watching this show. And I know your pain goes so deep. That's why, again, we appreciate just having this conversation. Your mom, she just had this unshakable faith, and you couldn't understand it. And right when I'm reading that, it dawned on me, like, I think your mom had this understanding that our feelings have absolutely nothing to do with what we know. She knew that God carried her through. She said the same thing that I think now you know, the same thing that I think now Terrence knows. Like, you feel horrible. You feel like you're not gonna make it, right? You were in your couch, just like letting life go. You feel like everything is over. You feel the pain, you feel you had 3 terms that described it. I think it was pain, anger, depression. You know, you had these words that were like key in every part of this book. But your mom, I know she felt those things. But it seemed that at that moment she goes, but I know who God is. I know how I was able to stand, how to take the next walk, how to feed my children with 1 income instead of 2 now. And I think this is now where we come into play when we're like, God, why? And then we're like, but God, I need you.
Yep.
And what I know about God is that He can take all of that. There's a lady that came to your door and she said, God said you're in the right place. Because He's like, heal my son, cry, scream, fight, because I'm going to take care of you. I got goosebumps because I know now that you know. I know that Terrence knows. You guys are distinguished gentlemen. Like, to sit and have a conversation with strong Black men who made it from a struggle, from bad decisions to good decisions, that's empowering to me. Very empowering, right? Like, I can applaud both of you right now. But to know now that your feelings are not everything. Our feelings are not everything. But what do we know? So you know that your mom had faith, and now you rock that same faith. You know that your mom had struggles, and you came out of those struggles. You're breaking generational curses.
And the amazing thing about it is my mom wasn't really a faith-filled person. It was his mom.
Yeah.
And all the way up until the point that she passed, I think she even told us about going to somebody preaching, and it was going to be a total healing there. Can you tell us about that?
Oh,
And who the person was?
Reverend T.D. Jakes.
Granddaddy Jakes, yeah.
Augusta Auditorium. Me and my son's mom at the time, we went and bought her tickets because she told us, she said, God gonna heal me on this day.
Mm.
And we went and got the tickets. She never made it to the show.
Mm.
I prayed probably the realest prayer I could ever pray from my heart.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where when you see the person you love struggling and hurting, you want them better.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to be better. So that night, Friday night, it was Saturday, she was supposed to go to the show. Friday night, before I laid down, she was in there moaning and groaning, hurting. And I was trying to accommodate anything she needed. And she said, I'm just going to lay down there and go to sleep. She said, you do the same. I'm going to be by in the morning and get the car and I'll see you in the morning. I went in the bathroom, fell to my knees because my grandma always taught me that you find that war room in your house.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in my war room and I got on my knees and I poured my guts and heart out to God. I didn't get the answer I wanted, but I got an answer.
Come on. What was that answer?
He took my mama and put her in the eternal kingdom
Uh-huh.
so she wouldn't feel any more pain, but at the time I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
I wanted her up with me.
Right. Yeah.
But he did what he said and what she said. He healed her. He took the pain away.
Yes.
For me, that was very hard to understand up until my mid-30s.
Takes time. Time is okay.
So it's
What a beautiful thing.
To have the knowledge and let it over time manifest into wisdom is key to life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of us that I discovered as I went through and I wrote this book, including my own life as I walked. You would ask God for that one thing, like, God, heal my mom.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't happen, it's very easy to turn that faith switch off.
Yeah.
And that believing switch off. You know what? Sit down and cross your arms, be like, you know what? He real.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked him to do one thing. I told him to take my life. I told him to take whatever he wants. Like, just let this person be healed. Let this person live.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even care about myself. What I care about is this. Like, stop the moaning, stop the groaning, stop the hurt and the pain. And the answer that we're thinking is total healing. And what happened is
Total healing to walk this earth.
to walk this earth. And it was a manifestation that happened that we all gonna go through this journey, you know? But at that moment as a kid, I was, 18 when my mom died, and you said 21? So we still, even though the world may deem us as adults, we're still in our mind kids. And men mature, a little slower than females do at times. And I'm not gonna say that again. But to grow up, without that mother figure, because you need them, and not having the father figure in my life physically and yours also physically. Your dad died and my dad wasn't really in my life at that moment in time. To experience these by yourself, you don't really have nobody to lean on except for your brothers and other people that's there, but they don't really understand because you're walking this thing on your own. So just for you to go in there and to walk that journey with your mother and to experience the things that you experienced is amazing. I have one question for you before we turn back over to Candace is, what is one thing, because your mom taught me about faith. She was like, if you want it, you go there, you lay hands on that car and you pray for it, Terrence. And you pray for it. And you walk around it 7 times and you lay hands and pray for it. And I was literally wanting this one car and before I went off to college, right before she passed, I would go there and I lay hands on it, pray and say, put me in the car, let's go. I had my aunt's car. We went up there to the car lot. She's like, is that the one? I'm like, that's the one. She said, lay hands on it and pray. And she just sit there like literally coaching me through this. And I felt silly now. Looking back at it, if I was to look at myself at an out-of-body experience, like, yo. But now I realize that type of faith is what moved mountains. And I literally laid hands on that car and prayed. And I went back up there after I dropped it back off at the house and prayed. I didn't get that car, but I got a car that was more durable, that sustained me for the travel back and forth to college. Yeah. Which is amazing. But what is one quote that your mom, that stands out in your life that your mom may have said to you to give you inspiration to move forward in life, that you just kind of always tugged along with you in life?
Mustard seed.
Mustard seed.
Mustard seed.
Oh, I can tell stories
That's
about
why
that.
she used to say that to you and me and everybody else, because she wanted us to keep faith. It don't take but the size of a mustard seed.
No.
And a lot of people don't know how small a mustard seed is.
Right.
But
And
that was her
the smallest
favorite quote
agricultural
because
seed, right?
that was her favorite quote because, like she said, even in her toughest time, I'm gonna keep faith, even if I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have at least that much faith
to lead you into tomorrow. Just make it to the TD Jakes, Bishop TD Jakes. I'm gonna get total healing.
Every day.
every day.
She went into the eternal life knowing that she could still get total healing, which is amazing.
And I just want to just add to that, like, in your walk, in your journey, no matter how small your journey is or how big or how much you've achieved in your faith or your walk, that we all get knocked down, right?
Yeah.
And it's those people who keep encouraging, like your mom did. She's inspiring generations because now you got it. And I like to believe that her purpose was made. So when God allowed her to leave, everything that she was put on this earth to do, she did. That's what the story I like to tell. Because why else would she go if he still needed her to do work? It was her time to go home. But she left so much legacy. Clearly, your father left so much legacy because, I mean, the way that you reference him, you know, he was charismatic. You're very charismatic, right? So they left their legacy, and you get to walk that out. The beauty is that God gave you the opportunity to still walk that out. Because in the story also, you took a bullet.
I took a couple of.
You took a couple of bullets. My goodness.
Anger is a.
We back to Tupac.
It's funny because I got outlaw across my stomach.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
That's the anger, the hurt, the pain.
Took you down that road.
Yes. And it's one of those things to where if I was hurting, everybody's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
So this is after your mom died?
After she passed, it was, if I'm gonna hurt, everybody's gonna hurt.
Yeah. I once heard a great speaker, I'm lost for his name right now, but he said, John Hope Bryant, he said the most dangerous person walking this world is a person without hope.
That's the truth.
True story, right?
True
And
story.
that's how you felt.
That's how I was.
That's how you were. God.
No
I
hope,
get it.
no purpose, no nothing. All I wanted to do is, honestly, I was ready to die. And I didn't care who I took with me.
I get it.
You know, if you wanted to fight, we could fight. If you wanted to shoot, we could shoot. We could, anything and everything was okay by me. I think before we started the session, I told you I had a lot of demons.
Yeah.
A lot of skeletons in my closet.
Yeah, we all do.
But I've grown from that. And I've seen how if I turn on the news or anything like that, I see people screaming for that help like I was, screaming for it. You know, we grew up time where this was all you really needed. And it's funny because I watch Friday and you go, you know,
oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's true.
It's true.
Now I look out in the world and there's a lot of people living every day like I did in that short period of time in my life.
Man, you said something profound there.
Like,
They're living their whole life
Whole life that
and it
way.
was short.
and mine was short. It was, I think about the pain I caused people and the pain that was brought to me in that short period of time. And my heart bleeds for the people that deal with it every day. That can't get away from it. Don't know how to get away from it. Don't know how to express themselves. Don't know how to have anybody to help them.
A great friend of mine said that there is called trauma.
Yeah.
You face trauma and you bring the wrath of every evil inside of you down on everyone else.
Yep.
We have to heal from trauma. That is I think that's our number one goal, is to get people to realize you're walking with so much hurt and pain. But if you heal,
You got
you
more
can
options.
have the
And
world
you
at your
can-
fingertips.
They used to say the world is your oyster, right?
Yes,
You just gotta go out here and get it.
yes.
And two amazing points I want to bring across. One is, this kind of reminds you of Job in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, Job went through a lot.
Come on and bring
Job
it to
was
him.
tested. Job then lost his wife, you know, his kids, and he lost his, you know,
Wealth.
livestock, wealth, and all the other stuff, health, everything. And then it said God restored it. And what people do is they take that story and they're like, oh, God will give you everything back. But what they don't understand is it took 9 months to create a baby. That baby then has to turn into an adult to receive his full wealth back, and kids after kids after kids. There's a period of time it didn't happen just like that. It almost took a second half of a lifetime to create this stuff. And in the process of creating, I'm pretty sure there's doubts in Job's mind of, is God going to take this kid? He took the first family. You know what I mean? Is God going to take this kid? And certain fears that I had having Jackson was, you know, God allowed my mom and both of my brothers to die. You know, now my biggest fear is to lose Jackson.
To lose my child.
And I know that's coming, you know, part of you have those fears too in life. And the second point I want to bring across is this. but God.
But God.
And I'm saying but God because I'm sitting here smiling. But in my book, I talk about his wife, Kim, and how she comes up and she's like, hey, I'm Kim. And I'm like, I'm Terrence. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's like super excited from, was it North Dakota? And we come from the hood and our background of being depressed and mad. Because when I went out to college, I had just lost my mom. He just lost his mom. And we're sitting there at a Christian institution of higher learning, trying to hear about God, but really hating God because we both mad at God. And then this little blonde, blue-eyed, like, hey, God is good. Like, what are you talking about? And we're both looking at him. And Tim's favorite thing was,
Still my favorite.
his eyebrows come together. And God connected them two opposites. Two opposites together. And she is faith-filled, and he is empty on faith because he's mad at God. And their connection has been amazing because even in times now when there's weakness and there's doubt or whatever, she pours in and she restores them, which is amazing. And to have that build and for God to undergird you with somebody of that talent, of that magnitude, with the faith of a mustard seed.
When you introduced me to her, and that first week, I said, she believed like my mama. I met my wife. She's so square, I don't know if I can be with her.
Let me interject here because these are my favorite things to show us how we're all connected in this world. Tim said she believed like her mother believed.
Yes.
Tim's wife is not black.
No.
His mother is. And I'm just saying, you saw your mother in that. The beauty of that, because we all need to remember this complexion thing we keep getting all crazy about is just nonsense. Carry on.
It was funny because I came to him and I said, you know what? I just met my wife.
Wow.
I got to keep her. I'm going to keep her.
Wow.
And still together, and it was because he decided to go out and do backflips with her they met. And my cousin can do flips. And and after that, it's pretty much inseparable.
Wait, Kim was flipping?
Yeah, she's a cheerleader.
She was a cheerleader.
What?
Yeah.
I gotta meet this Kim.
I seen her doing backflips. I started doing backflips, and then she flipped right into his life, and they've been together ever since. How many years now? Have known each other?
Known each other 22 years.
Wow.
22 years, and
then been together 21 and 16 married.
Wow.
It's a beautiful story.
4 kids.
4 kids.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know when we got together, Terrence and our cameraman Jay, who right now is like in this story, you can see his face right now. The vision was to heal people.
Yes.
I don't even think we fully know what that looks like. We just know it's in our hearts. When you read the story of Hindsight, Tim says, I just want to help people, right? What's the exact word you call it? He says, I hope that means that I can touch the lives of people who are hurting, grieving the loss of loved ones, or feeling angry and depressed. I can assure you that would have been impossible for either of you had you not reconnected with God, had you not made the choice, because he was waiting on you, right?
Yeah.
And now here we are. Had you not reconnected with your faith, had you not said, I want to change. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And now, like, the opportunity to change someone else is now.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So one thing about this book is in each chapter, I ask the people of the chapters, the stories, who the 3 people are in their life that influence them. So who are the top 3 people in your life now that you make decisions for whenever you make any decision to move in a positive manner and that would stop you from being negative or going back to that space in your life?
Number 1, you always have to be mindful of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
lot of people lose themselves trying to please other people.
Mhm.
First and foremost is take care of you. You can't help anyone else if you can't help yourself.
Right.
So first I have to keep telling myself, keep moving forward.
Okay.
Every day is a struggle. Keep moving forward. Then you and Nikki are big inspirations in my life.
Okay.
Because I
Nikki
see
is-
is my sister, my cousin. She's my sister though.
Okay.
It's one of those things where she ain't never been my cousin. She's always been my sister.
Mhm.
So it's the seeing them make changes in their lives and move forward from where we come from and the success they have as adults, raising families and everything that we didn't have, being able to supply with our kids and our life. That is motivation enough to push me every day to keep pushing myself.
Yeah.
And then my kids.
Mhm.
You know, I probably wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I would.
I get it. I get it.
That's amazing. So as I go back over this chapter, at the very end of the chapter, I always have a little section that I talk about the Paul's. And it says Paul's insight before the encounter of you going through whatever you went through. And it says here, and so what I have here is, it says, Tim wishes that he could have asked his father more questions about being a man instead of figuring them out the harder way in life. And that was your thought process then. Now that you are a man, are there things that you would have taken from your father or from the short time that you have with your father and put them inside of your two boys? Or especially Ayo now that Ayo's older? And what is one of those things?
Just that drive he had. You know, my dad could do anything. When I say anything, he could drive anything. He could build anything. He could make anything.
Mhm.
His imagination was not bound by any stretch at all. He could do anything. And that's what made him my hero. Is because I saw him get on bulldozers. I saw him drive 18-wheelers. I saw him, make stuff. Hey, we were rebuilding our house when it burned down. We literally had just ordered the wiring
Wow.
and everything. Like my dad did all this stuff himself. He didn't pay somebody to do it. He did it. And he was showing us how to do it, how to be men, how to be handymen, how to take care of things. That's something I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
The influences I had growing up were the same influence he had. When I tell people I grew up with thugs, drug dealers, and killers, I ain't talking the Play County.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking the streets of Chicago has these same kind of people.
Yeah.
And you hear about them on the news, you see them. This is who we were surrounded by.
Yeah.
24/7, 365, they cut your throat, they shoot you for a few extra pennies.
Yeah.
So I wish he could have taught me a little more patience with life.
Mhm.
He was a jack of all trades, master of none. Now I'm the same way. A jack of all trades, master of none. My son, my two sons, I don't mind if they be like me in that way, but I've always told them since they were little, be better than me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to deal with what I had to deal with in life and go through what I had to go through in life. I want them to take the easier route, and as long as breath is in my body, I want to guide them to take the easier route.
Wow. That's a lesson.
And then to touch on one more, the Paul's insight after the encounter. So now, after the encounter of, experiencing the pain and stuff you went through, you wrote, I put this in here, instead of living, or this is your words, instead of living in a state of depression and anger, Tim could try to understand that although his prayers for his mother were not answered, his prayers were answered. She lived to see her baby graduate from high school. She met his firstborn. She convinced him to commit to going to a Christian college, and her pain and suffering was ended. Best of all, she's with her Savior, which is amazing. And you kind of touched on that earlier with him and talking with him about this, at the fact that there are those breaks of sunlight inside of all of the storms that we go through. After one storm passes, another one comes.
I'm gonna say his name, Reverend Owen Jesse.
Yep.
He changed how I look at going to a smaller school.
No one
I
just.
was an All-American. I was in the top 50 in this country. And then you turn around and I was all-state baseball, all-region basketball. I was a total athlete. And my mom went,
All right, well.
Reverend Jesse said you should go to this school. I'm not going to no small little Christian school, you know. I put up a fight.
Yeah.
And after she passed, well, when she felt a little weak and weird, she made me promise that I'd at least give it a try before I go to a bigger school. At least give it a try. Who knew she knew something I didn't know?
Right.
She probably had already seen it. God had showed her, make him go to that school.
Yeah.
He's gonna do great things.
You're getting
He's
what you
gonna
thought.
meet people. I got to go to school with my two little cousins.
Right, right.
They got to go with me to school because I was hurting so bad.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, if they're gonna be with me, I'm not by myself. Because at the time I was having suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to kill myself.
Understood.
You needed God more than you knew.
Right.
You know?
It's always
And-
funny that when we're made for greatness, the first thing the enemy do is want to take us out because you got a destination, a destiny for God.
Yeah.
He has something he's gonna use you for, and the enemy's like, not this one. I'm getting ready to make him so sad, so depressed. He's out of here.
You're right.
And, you know,
Not
it's
this time.
the night before I called her my guardian angel. I've never seen her since. I've never talked to her since. I've looked for her, never found her. But
They knocked on the door.
I was sitting there on my couch and I had a gun. It never misfired. It always worked. I always cleaned it. That was my thing. I pulled that trigger and it didn't shoot. I tried again, it didn't shoot. I mean, the bullets are flying out when I, boom, each time it won't shoot. I said, okay, well, I can't do that. I'll eat all these pills. As soon as I got them in, they were coming back out. So I just said, okay, I'll lay here and starve myself to death then. I went from 198 pounds to what I was when I got there, 147, to 147 pounds when I got to college, or got back to college. Like, this lady changed how I looked at everything with a simple on my door. I'm gonna take care of you. She gave me dehydrated milk and food. I had no lights. I had been sleeping in the park, running back to the house just so that I could try to pretend to be okay. I was homeless. I was hungry. I was angry at the world. I was hurting. And I was shunning everybody that even showed me affection.
Wait a minute, so you were hungry.
Yeah.
And this lady brought you food.
She brought me more than food.
But the ministry of Jesus.
I was gonna say, she brought me
Come on.
food for my soul.
Come on.
Hope.
She wasn't just there to give me things to go off to school with. She was helping to rebuild me.
Yeah.
Stranger.
A total stranger. My mama probably knew her. I didn't.
But there was something familiar about it, right?
Yes. I answered the door. She gave me my gifts. She said, you go and you make us proud.
Yeah.
She said, you go walk with God. Since that day, still to this day, I've never seen her. And every time I think about it, I say, that's my guardian angel, and I want to thank that person, but I can't find her.
I got that.
So you shunned away your family, your friends, but it took a
She was
stranger.
there. I stopped answering the door. They come knock.
Yeah.
I stopped. My other cousin Scotty came by every day. Literally every day when he got off work and knocked on the door and I wouldn't answer. Till finally, when she knocked, I got up off the chair and I answered. Why her? What changed my mental thinking to make me open the door for her and not the people I love?
Right.
And from that day forth, it was a rebuilding process. God was working on me when I didn't even know he was working on me.
Wow.
He was literally building me from, I like to, there's a song out now that says, you get it from the mud.
Yeah.
I got everything I got in this life through God from the mud. I was literally face down in the mud. When I tell you I slept in a slide and I shoved my bag of clothes in the bottom and I took my jacket and shoved it at the top just to trap the heat in the middle so I wasn't cold. And I didn't let nobody know. Every day I walked down to Smith Hazel Park and I'd lay in that slide. And I'd run back up to the porch at the house and I'd sit there so when everybody passed by, they thought I was all right. A lot of us walk around with that facade on every day. And if I can help one person that thinks that, hey, I got to live this on my own, and tell them, no, you don't. There's people here that'll help you, even if it ain't what you need or what you feel you need. Just to have that process going, you're getting what you need. You might not feel it, but you're getting it.
That's the amazing thing about Tim coming in today and having this opportunity to talk with us. Face to face, where life meets reality, is truly allowing people and us to stand face to face with our life and our problems and realizing that our curse isn't really a curse. It's more or less of a blessing. Some of the things that you go through in life, you don't always see it at the moment. That's why it takes hindsight 2020 to turn around and have clear vision to see exactly why God allowed the things to happen. I mean, your mom may have been on her deathbed praying and you in the bathroom praying like, God help my mom, and your mom passed, but then there's always somebody knocking. And you may not let the other people in, but that one person that God already done touched their heart and assigned them one some weeks later to come in and just hand you some food. Because you got to starve yourself before you're willing to allow somebody else to come into your life and do the things that they're supposed to do. So sometimes God will allow you to tire yourself out and try to exhaust everything that you done tried to do. But when you get to that moment where you're willing to hear and listen, and you're willing to face or come face to face with your problems in your life, then there's a change that will happen. And the reality is you have a choice.
It's hard to let go and let God.
It is.
It's very hard to let go and let God. And if you don't let go of the things you can't control and let God have them and take it, you're just going to end up wearing yourself down.
Yeah.
Because you can't change it.
That's it. Listen, I'm hoping that the audience is loving this, but more than feeling sad for Tim, you sharing his hope now. You sharing the excitement of what can be. And we just ask everybody you see in this show today, if it's not you, then go knock on someone's door. Someone needs to hear the story.
Yeah. And I think that life's all about perspective. Like in the beginning, we looked at Tim, and in the beginning, I've known Tim my whole life. So from the inside looking out, I see Tim as a strong, amazing person, and I love people's stories. Like as you read this book, I'm like, Candace, oh my God, I love people's stories. Like, listen, this and this happened. She's like, yo, calm down. But I don't see a story as being a sad story. I see that there's an opportunity to change and reach other people. Like, yo, you alive, you made it. You made it through this. Like now you're on the other side. Let's look back and see where you came from. Let's look at the hindsight in it. So I see Tim's opportunity and the things that he went through now as a blessing. Because like you said, your pain is now your purpose. And your purpose is to help the other people that is like you. Because you can see, you understand, you've been there. So they're able to see that you made it out. Just like your guidance counselor connected you and MW together, you guys are able to walk this path together. Now you're able to be that person to connect with the rest of the people in the rest of the world. So as you take the opportunity to read, and we didn't even get into a lot of the details in the book because there's so much that Tim went through and Tim experienced, but was able to see Tim and the emotion the emotion was, man.
They're gonna have to get the book if they want to get it to that's what I'm saying.
And one thing I wanted to bring to light here is, I know that you say that me and Nikki, your top three in your life, you just kind of named our categories as me and Nikki and your kids and yourself, but me and Tim's had this conversation like all last night and to now. I know that his wife is one of the main people in his life that husband and wife are together. You know, they're always together, and that's his strength.
Me, I mean.
Yeah, I know. When he said, I want to clarify that. When you said me, you meant like her and you, because you can't.
I can't be me without her.
Right, and that's what makes that important. I wanted, the viewers and the people to understand that he didn't leave his wife out. He meant as in him and his wife, they move as one unit as husband and wife do, which she is definitely your mustard seed of faith and hope that moves you forward, which is amazing.
I got a castle on my arm tattooed, and it says one blood, one flesh. It's me and her.
You and her. That is amazing. But again, we want to thank you guys for tuning in with us today. Today was a very emotional day. Today was an amazing day as we went through and we talked about hindsight. We were able to experience you and your journey, come face to face where your life meets reality. And with the face to face that we have, Candace is able to meet you and hear about Kim. Now she's ready to meet Kim, so we may have to get Kim on here one day. But we continue to pray for you, Tim, to be here for you, man. And we're here for all of the viewers that may be experiencing some of the things that Tim went through and may have lost your mom to cancer, may have lost your dad or cousins, sisters, grandmas, or whoever. Because we want you to know that you're not alone. We face these problems, and we know that you guys face these problems. These are problems that we all face. And that's why the podcast is here, to let you guys know that we're one family. We're all here together. And we want to make sure that if we're okay, you're okay. If you need a knock, we're knocking. If we need a knock, we know that you're there to supply and help us. Whenever we're hungry, you're there to feed us, and vice versa. We're a city that's hurting here in Chicago and around the world. We're in a nation that's hurting right now. But as we move forward, we want to let you know that you're not alone. We're here. We want to face the problems that you're facing together, face to face with where our life meets reality. Again, I'm Terrence Weaver. This is Tim Winfield and Candace, and we want to thank you guys for tuning in today.